Hi guys, it's Mike with K.I.S. Dog Training. We are back and we are kind of doing the recall part two, the secret trick per se. It's really not a secret trick. It's just something that I noticed after working with clients over and over again on several different tech skills. Okay, so I want you to think about this. If I say, Fido, stay, and I count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I then use a release word and I drop my hand to my side and the dog breaks the stay and comes to me and gets the reward. Okay, so there's the first example. Come when called, which is the topic of the last video, which we'll put a link in, and you can kind of, if you haven't seen that one first, start there and then come back to this one. I'm going to be in a situation, long line, leash, off leash area where off leash is allowed. And I'm going to say, hey, Fido, come here. And my hand's going to drop to my side. Okay. Let's say we're on a shorter leash. We're walking in a suburban environment and the dog starts to trail off in front of me and starts to pull. I use the command easy right before they hit the end of the line and they create tension and I say easy and the dog turns around and looks at me and guess where my hand is? My hand is dropped right to my side and the dog comes back and gets a reward. Now, ironically, that reward is also the punishment for pulling on leash because if you pull or you create tension in the leash, the walk stops, you have to come back and reset and we'll start again. Okay? Now, fourth one. If I'm using the leave it command, which in my books is not a no bad dog command, it just simply means quit focusing on that and focus on me. But I'll use the example again on leash looking at a squirrel and I say, hey, leave it. And my hand drops to my side. My dog turns around and sees that. And we get into this habit of always, when they hear these different words, it means turn around and look. And if they see the reward here, they come back and I can reset the situation and go for it. Also keep in mind, this is a good way to work on impulse control, frustration tolerance, getting the dog to pay attention to you. And once the dog is used to coming back and getting the reward from your hand, we don't necessarily have to have a reward. We can just drop our hand. When the dog comes back, we can give them some scratches behind the ear and level them up. But most people would think that a stay, come here, leave it, and pulling on the leash are four very distinct, different commands. But ironically, they all have the exact same damn hand signal. Okay? So while we humans, because we have context and syntax, think that those four scenarios are different, I really do think in our dog's mind it means turn around, pay attention. Oh, there's the hand. I'm coming back. I'll give you a sit. I'll give you a watch me. Whatever we add to that behavior chain, and the dog learns to be redirectable. And let's face it, to me, this is kind of the apex command. Okay? If we have a dog that is redirectable in those scenarios and listens to us and pays attention, everything else in dog training should just kind of fall into place. But I think a lot of folks will talk about leave it and maybe teach it for 2 or 3 minutes in a group class, but then never really focus on it. I'm the exact opposite. I work it every single session I do with a client to where we can have a dog who is redirectable under distraction. Now, obviously, you got to start that training inside the house. Then you got to take it to the backyard. Then you got to take it to the front yard. Then you got to do it on a walk. Then we might do it on a walk around other dogs so that there's more distraction. We might go to a city park. Eventually this kind of behavior will even translate to off-leash behaviors. But I think it's really important, whether we're talking about stay, whether we're talking about pulling on a leash, whether we're talking about recall, whether we're talking about leave it, they're all kind of the same thing. I just think we get hung up because we're humans and we have to talk to everything on the words. So we think they're different. But I just want you to think that hand dropping is the thing the dog is looking for. Dogs are way more about hand signals naturally than they are words. Now, we can get them to mean the same thing, and I think that's awesome that a dog will do that for us, but make it easy on the dog, okay? Um, we have to always talk. The dog has to see. And I think it's important, and this is across all dog training, your hand signals are important. A lot of times when I first start working with a dog, don't say an awful lot at all. It's just, bringing my hand up for a sit, bringing my hand pointed to the ground for a down, hand out for a stay. hand dropping to the side for a release or a leave it or a come here, like we were talking today. I'll also kind of point, or I'll have my hand in a position like this and I'll do this to get a watch me, or I'm just pointing to my eyeballs. I think that's kind of a flashback to my mother, who I grew up as a young man always hearing, if I don't have your eyes, I don't have your ears, look at me. So it's one of those things that's just followed me into dog training. It means that the word and the hand have to be simultaneous. Okay, that's the one thing I think that my clients have the hardest time doing, is they will say leave it or easy, or they'll say the right word and they'll give they'll do everything right, except then they reach for the dog treat when we first start. And they don't understand that by the time the dog turns around and looks and doesn't see the reward or the hand signal, but they see the hand go in the pocket, then the dog, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. I'm going back to doing what I was. So if there's a trick to this, just make sure that as you say the command, your hand is doing what the dog is looking at. Okay. I think the practice of this, we've already talked about this a little bit, is all about impulse control and frustration tolerance. But let's face it, what do we want most from a dog? We want a dog that pays attention. What's the second thing we want? We want a dog who is, redirectable in distraction. We've all seen that dog that when they see another dog, they see a car, they see a person, that just lose it, and they're pulling the owner's, arm out of the socket. This is the kind of stuff that will help you get that kind of redirection and paying attention. Now, you can't start, with trying to put your dog in a sit stay while the person's walking by on the sidewalk. We might very well cross the street and stand on that sidewalk, or move up into a driveway about 20 feet and then put the dog in a sit. Add a little bit of distance too. Give the dog as much help as you can at the very beginning, and then we can start paring away those crutches and that help of distance, or, treats, or whatever we're talking about. Okay, let me double check my notes and see what else we got to talk about. Again, if there's anything I want you to take out of this, this is where you start. This is the apex command. I think it all starts with hand feeding. That's how we get the dog to pay attention. Once we're doing that, then we start teaching skills. But all the skills that I really focus hard on are the ones of, don't pay attention to that, pay attention to me. Give me your eyeballs. Don't look at that, look at me. And you got to stop and think. This is definitely in the world of operant conditioning. Do it right, get a cookie. Do it wrong, don't get a cookie. But we have to also remember that as we do this, classical conditioning takes effect. So if treats fall from the sky with a leave it command every single time I see a squirrel, squirrels are not nearly as exciting, because it's more exciting to see the squirrel look at dad. So these are some things to think about. I appreciate the comment with a client that wanted to work on recall, and they wanted the next topic to be that. I love it. Keep the topics coming. I will also point out, I believe in our first season, there was one where I call it the rules of recall. We'll throw a link up for that as well. So this is actually the second video that I've done on recall, but it is kind of from a different angle. So that first one would probably be something else to listen to. Once again, thanks for taking some time with me today. This is Mike with K.I.S. Dog Training, and we will talk to you later.